I want to talk about Sagittarius energy and the dynamic between Gemini and Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius is the energy of the ruler of the ninth house in astrology. The ninth house is really talking about where can you be a freaking guru? And a guru is just a fancy word for teacher. Sometimes we glorify that word, but it's talking about self-mastery. When we're dealing with 9, we're dealing with the energy of mastering something. It's like before you can include others with the 10 to get that big win, there's a mastery of the 9, which is self-mastery. And Gemini represents the student, and Sagittarius represents the teacher, the guru. And a lot of times we're looking at that ninth house placement. We're looking at that, where we have Sagittarius in our birth chart and we're like, man, I got to get there. I want to be the pro. I want to be the best. But when we go at it from a Gemini perspective, looking at our third house, because Gemini is the ruler of the third house, when we're looking at that, how do we bridge the gap between being the forever student to being the guru? And so I was thinking about this recently, and I was thinking about some of the best teachers are lifelong students. They're always expanding their perspectives. They're always open to taking ideas and suggestions. And when we do not demonize the student, we don't demonize learning. See, even when I hear the word student, sometimes it's so cringe because I really struggled in school because for those of you that don't know, I was homeschooled when I was in elementary school for a very short time. It wasn't a punishment. It was just something that my parents did. I was a military family. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so it just made so much sense at the time. I got to play outside. Like, it wasn't like I just come from a very, my parents were non-traditional in that way, which I really appreciated. And I eventually went back to school, but I realized that when I was at school, I would be like, well, I have a question about this. And they're like, we don't have enough time to cover this. You need to go home. Even though you were at school all day, now you have to take school home with you and do all this homework and come back. And I just never understood that concept. To me, it was just like, man. And I realized I had associated being a student with negativity, with negative experiences, with so much. And so a lot of the healing between Sagittarius and Gemini being the student, Sagittarius being the guru in you, those placements, the third house representing the student and the ninth house representing the guru, the potentiality. The ninth house is ruled by Jupiter. That's where there's expansion. That's where there's room for growth. And Gemini is ruled by Mercury, where it's like communication. So because Gemini is the student, this is asking you to release any negative associations you have with teachers, with people who you consider to be gurus or teachers or senseis or whatever you want to call them, and the negative associations you have as yourself with a student or your relationship to learning. Because learning is something that we do you learn to walk, you learn to talk, there's so many things. Learning is not just specific to a classroom. And that's what the healing between the third house and the ninth house really means in our birth chart. So to be able to bridge those in a healthy way is to have unconditional love for the student in you and learning your learning style. There's so many quizzes, but I just realized that my learning style, I'll just do it and then I'll learn as I go. I'm very hands-on. I love to look. I can make anything and I can see anything and see a spiritual concept. I watch anime with my husband and we will dissect an episode. It'll take us 4 hours to get through a movie. I mean, we don't do this when other people are around, but it's just something that we do together. And because even how we raise our daughter, everything's a learning experience. I treat my parenting kind of like a science experiment. Well, that didn't work. Maybe we'll feed her over here. Maybe we'll do this. And I have much more of an open-minded approach because it's not about, for me, just getting it right, getting the answer, getting her to do this or getting her to do that. It's about the experience of learning. And so when you can redefine what the student is for you and have love for the student in you, that's going to learn forever. See, the student in you doesn't die even when you become a master, because masters still practice their craft. And it's the same thing when you become accepting the inner student in you and accepting the teacher in you and allowing yourself to get on the stage and allowing yourself to give yourself credit for the knowledge that you have. Even if you aren't doing that thing anymore, say, for example, you're in sports and you don't play anymore, but maybe you're teaching that, or maybe you're helping someone with that. It's like falling in love with both versions of yourself, the teacher and the student. Is going to really, really, during this time, whenever you're watching this, it's going to reignite the love that you have for life. It's going to feed you. And it's a beautiful balance. The teacher represents the masculine energy, where you assert yourself. How do you give back? What's your karma yoga? What energy are you spreading to others by your example of just being? See, being a teacher doesn't mean about being formal. It means you traveling, living life. It's Sagittarius energy. It's having experiences. When you meet people, how you're interacting with them. You could be having a short day. You could be at a coffee shop and you could smile at someone. You can have grace with someone. And that could really impact someone. And so a healthy person utilizes the teacher, the ninth house energy in you to embrace masculine energy, to put yourself in that position and give yourself credit for the things you know, for the things you're naturally good at. And everyone knows what they're naturally good at. And if you don't, you're not taking enough time to really be a student. And that's the balance. Gemini, the third house energy, teaches us that it's the feminine energy. It's you're receptive to your environment. You're learning. You're intaking. When you're a student, you're receiving. You're receiving knowledge. You're receiving concepts. You're receiving so much. It's a beautiful place to be a student of life. And one of the best ways to learn is to travel. I've seen a lot of different people because I'm always friends with older people. I've just been like that since I was young. And some of the coolest, most youthful older people are those that travel. Like my mother-in-law, she's in her 70s and she just got back from Dubai, y'all. Okay. She was like, I rode a camel. I'm out here, like she's out here doing black girl magic stuff. And it really inspires me because it's a beautiful dance between when you put yourself, when you travel, you put yourself in the position of the student. You put yourself in a position to learn how different customs are done and how different things are done. So I'm just encouraging you, an easy way to stay well, to feel whole throughout this life's experience, through the ups and downs, is the dance between the guru and the student within you, and what it does is it allows blessings and delicious conversations and just the magic of life to unfold personally for you when you can really, really unite the Gemini and Sagittarius energy within, which again is your third and your ninth house. If you need help, kind of looking at your energies and see how you can bridge the gap in your experience, I would love to do a session with you. I'm so passionate about this because astrology is a tool for healing. And when you know the nature of your chart, the only thing you need to know is your actual birth time and where you were born, like the city, the country, and if you're in the US, the state. All of that will give me the information that I need to be able to look and at those specific placements. So I do use tarot. I do channel intuitive messages from my spirit guides to help, but If you do know your astrology, it can make your reading that much stronger. So thank you guys so much for listening. I'm sending you so much love. Astrology is beautiful. Life has, different lessons that it teaches us, but it can be interesting. That's what Gemini teaches us. That's what Sagittarius teaches us, that life can be interesting and fascinating and eventful. When we focus our energy and we learn in our natural way, we can go really far.